Ken, nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it's good to actually like talk face to face, so to speak.
Yes, yeah, face to face virtually. I think we connected about a year ago, maybe over Twitter.
I think we were geeking out about Dolby Vision on the iPhone, and
Yeah.
that's how we lined up.
Now, did you happen to stumble across any of my videos in the past on YouTube or anything?
I probably have, and I did used to watch Indie Mogul like way back when.
Yeah.
I forgot how long ago, but probably when I was like,
Indie Mogul is
yeah.
like an OG channel, so I mean,
It is. It totally is. That was like one of my like top 2 or 3 go-to places when I needed to learn video stuff when my YouTube channel was super, super small and young. So
yes.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, how long have you been on YouTube now? Do you know the number?
Yeah, I actually just celebrated my 14th anniversary in September. So yeah, over 14 years.
14 years.
Yeah.
Talk about OG.
I know, it's been crazy. Now, it was really just totally a mega hobby back then. Like I wasn't even thinking about the business aspects of it. That didn't come until later. And it really hasn't been until like the last couple years that I've really started treating it more like a business. It was more of a hobby up until then. But yeah, 14 years.
14 years. I had no idea that you were that much of an OG. That's amazing.
Yeah, Computer Clan's been around a long time. One of the longest running tech channels that actually still uploads regularly.
That's amazing. I mean,
Thank you.
I have definitely seen your stuff over the years, and when we connected on Twitter, I definitely fangirled a little bit and love your stuff. Especially this last year or so, you've been doing this great series that has been a riot to watch. These scam based,
the scam busting. Oh my gosh, dude.
That stuff busting.
That has been so much fun to do. It all started with just this thing I wanted to bust over. It was like, what was it? Memorial Day weekend. I had a buddy of mine over and I was like, hey, I keep seeing this ad for this ridiculous thing that I know is not technically possible. Let's just do an episode about it, see what happens. And it got like 1 million views pretty quick, and it ended up becoming a thing.
Which video was that?
That was the Lit Mobile. It was like a small solar panel that claimed it could charge your phone and stuff. And I'm just
Lit
like,
Mobile.
Yeah, Lit Mobile.
Is Lit Mobile a scam? Yes, here's why. Krazy Ken.
Yep. And that is just I picture like, you know, the meme with like the Grim Reaper and he's going into the doors and he's like killing these companies, because Lit Mobile is just one of several. What's that?
Sorry, your my internet paused for a second. Can you repeat that?
Sure,
Lit Mobile
sure.
is one of those what?
And Lit Mobile is just like one of several websites that are now shut down ever since I released a scam busting episode about them. And it's never my goal going into a scam buster to shut them down. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. And I try to be respectful. Like, I don't, say people's names, and I don't want to spread rumors and stuff. So I try to keep it, an even playing field. But there have been several companies that have shut down their websites ever since I've done scam busters about them. And Lit Mobile was one of them.
Well, I mean, it's a scam. So like,
yep.
Kind of get what you have going. I mean, it's almost like those types of companies, I would imagine, are kind of think to themselves, let's see how long we can get away with this and then move on to the next thing.
Yep. I bet that's going through their heads sometimes.
So tell me, Ken, about yourself. How did you get started in this whole world of YouTube? Are you a filmmaker or a video person at all, or were you more of a tech enthusiast that then slowly became a filmmaker? I mean, you're shooting on a Blackmagic camera right now, and your the video quality on your YouTube channel is extremely high, and your editing and motion graphics and everything, very high production. Have you been involved in video production over the last 14 years alongside this YouTube channel?
More or less, yes. The funny thing is, the whole tech enthusiasm thing happened like at the same time I was getting into video, because the more I learned about how to do cool video stuff, the more it's like, oh wait, it's all done with this technology. I remember being so amazed. I remember this vividly. I was like in middle school, and it would be like group presentations or whatever, and I'd be using PowerPoint, and I'd click through my slides and do my thing, and then I'd see a kid like use Movie Maker, which I didn't even know was like a thing back then, but I'd see like these transitions and these titles like dissolve in over the footage, and I'd be like, how do you do that? So later as luck would have it, back when I was living with my folks, around this time, we bought an iMac. It was the white iMac, one of the first Intel ones, and it had iMovie on it. So I click that button, and the iSight camera turns on, and it starts recording me, and I'm like, whoa! And you can drag titles on top of, and I just self-taught myself iMovie,
Oh wow.
and around that time I got really into the tech stuff and then really into the video editing stuff. Like definitely not really like the filmmaking aspect, like what's
Sure.
story, I don't need story, I just want cool titles.
Yeah.
But all that like storytelling and other stuff evolved later. But yeah, it all started around that time. I was just a
That's
not even a
amazing.
teenager. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, same here, man. I started out when I was about that age as well, middle school. Some of my buddies, we had a little, we had like a tiny little Canon Power Shot. It was actually like one
Oh
of those
yes.
point and shoot cameras, but it also had a video mode on it. And so we would just shoot like stupid home videos and make fake commercials and, you
Oh
know,
yeah, dude, fake commercials. Oh my gosh, dude, I love it. I did the same crap. Like even before I had like any non-linear editing, I would just use like my
yeah.
dad's like Sony camera and just tape it all linearly and be like, okay, that's the take we got. We can't edit this thing. Let's just make it work.
I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but my dad's VHS camera had a fade in and fade out button on it. Did you ever use those?
My dad's did as well, and I had no idea how to use it. But it was there.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to like self edit, do a fade
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And then, I think I even tried to do stop motion one time where it was just like start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. It
Oh
wasn't even
gosh.
pictures, it was just record, cut.
Yeah.
And it looked
Oh
awful
man.
on a tape.
Oh man.
How old
Oh
are you?
yeah, that
We're the
uh,
same. We're millennials, right? You're the same
yeah,
age as me, pretty much.
I'd say about ish.
Yeah, I graduated
Yeah.
in '08, so
Yeah,
maybe.
give or take a couple years. I'm a little younger.
Okay. That's
Dude,
fair.
a lot of people get my age wrong, and I've just accepted it as a meme by now because
You're
I
20.
naturally have like
You're 25.
27.
27. Okay, so split it down the middle. I'm
Yeah,
31. You're 27.
there you go.
There
I
you
just
go.
naturally have like some baby face. Like I remember one time I was on a trip in Las Vegas, and I was actually at NAB,
Oh,
and
nice.
I had a backpack on, and there was a photo of me, and I posted it on Twitter, and someone said I looked like I was 14. I don't know if it was because I had a backpack and it looked like I was going to school
Yeah.
or something, but it happens. It
That's
happens.
amazing. The thing that I think I really resonate with your content, and it's something that I tried to do with mine as well, is the amount of humor that you infuse into your videos it's incredible. And
Thank you.
I feel like just talking to you just about how you got started, I think we would have been friends in high school because we have
Probably.
very similar sense of humor, both total like nerds with everything. Was that always intentional for you, or is it just kind of just natural with the type of videos that you make?
It kind of just happened naturally. Now, if my old videos would ever be watched by somebody, if they ever got out of my secret vault, you would notice I really wasn't very humorous at all. It kind
Uh-huh.
of just came with, like, I was a very shy kid, but as I got more of a social, got to be more of a social butterfly, I got more funny on camera. And
Uh-huh.
I'll be honest, I owe it a lot to Mystery Science Theater 3000. I don't
Oh,
know if you ever
yes.
watched.
Of
Yeah, but
course.
like
Yeah, I've watched it.
the riffing and everything in that show, that kind of like on the spot witty humor, like
Yes.
that's like my thing. I totally resonate with
Did
that.
you did you get into like Tim and Eric Awesome Show and Robot Chicken or anything?
Robot Chicken, definitely. Tim and Eric kind of came later. That for me anyway, like the memes
Yeah.
is what kind of got me aware of it. I haven't watched a ton of it, but the stuff I have seen I totally love. But Robot Chicken, when I saw that back on
Yeah.
TV, oh yeah,
My dad
absolutely.
and my dad kind of I grew up my dad showing me like Monty Python and watching Mr. Bean and old SNL clips. So like in my household I definitely kind of grew up with all this type of older humor, kind of quirky, British, kind of dry, like awkward humor. So
Yep,
Tim and Eric I always felt like is kind of like an American version of what Monty Python was in England, but um,
probably.
the elephant in the room or the lunch tray in the room is what's sitting on the desk right now. If you're not watching the video, you have the new MacBook Pro
Indeed.
M1 Max or Pro. I don't know what you have here.
This one is the M1 Pro
Ooh, okay. Is that the 16 inch or the 14?
16.
Okay, yeah, I assumed it was. It looks pretty big, but I mean, I
Mhm.
don't know. Again, you're talking about how people think you look younger than you are, so I don't know. It could be. I can't judge based on size, but what have you been doing with it? How long have you had it, and what are some of your initial thoughts with it?
So I've had it basically as long as a non-embargoed person could have it because I ordered it right away. It got here uh on what was it on that
Tuesday,
Tuesday?
right? Yeah, this
Yeah,
Tuesday.
which was like the day after the review embargo.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like I wanted to do some episodes about it on my channel already, and life just got busy with other things. So I'm gonna release a couple coming up really, really soon. But initial impressions were, holy crap, this is the best Mac notebook I've ever used in my life. It's so
and you
good.
and you have the Pro, right? I mean, as silly as it is, like the Pro, if they just stopped at the Pro, that would have been already pretty amazing. But then they did the one more thing with the Max. Um,
Yeah. And I'll be
Goodness,
honest,
look at
I
that
haven't
screen.
even. Oh, the screen is.
That's a gorgeous screen.
I'll be honest, I haven't even like fully crazily speed tested it yet. Because I still have my daily driver iMac in my office. But this thing is really freaking fast. But the things that I really like about it are just like, the bezels are so thin, the 120 hertz refresh rate display, and it's mini LED. So those blacks are really black, and no touch bar. I wasn't a fan of the touch bar, so I'm glad the
No,
touch
I'm
bar's
not either.
gone.
It's funny. I
And
I did see like one or two people on Twitter say I'm gonna miss the touch bar, and it's like, oh, okay, be quiet. You're the
yeah,
only person.
to anybody who liked it, more power to you, but I'm glad it's gone. um, and I'm upgrading from a 2013 MacBook Pro, so I didn't even have things like Touch ID. So like having Touch ID for me is nice.
Totally.
But also as a video guy, having that SD card slot back, having the HDMI port back, that stuff is a godsend. So I
Oh,
don't have to
huge.
dongle it up all the time.
Look at that gorgeous thing. The thing that is just breathtaking with it is how they really have kind of gone back to their old design
Yeah.
language with the titanium kind of PowerBook kind of thing.
Okay. I brought this to someone at my day job office and he held it and immediately he said, "Oh my gosh, this feels like my PowerBook G4." And I was like, oh, yes, there's nostalgia in this thing. There totally is. And I don't know if Apple did that on purpose or what, but yeah, I totally feel it.
Well, I think it
Absolutely.
it really comes back to the fact that a couple years ago when the Mac Pro kind of came out, apparently it got out into the news that Apple hired a bunch of pro video editors and photographers that
Oh yeah.
I think they essentially like continued to work on their own freelance projects, but they kind of like observed them and would like question them and take notes. And so all the computers that we've been seeing, like this and the Mac Pro, and hopefully the next gen of the iMac, are
Oh
really
yeah.
taking notes from like they're actually listening to pros. Finally, they've literally regressed, which is so rare for Apple. It almost seems so absurd to us to even consider that they would put an SD card back in it, or God forbid an HDMI port or MagSafe. Are you kidding me? Like those would be
Mm-hmm.
like in the past couple of years, we would have thought like there's no way in heck they would ever regress back to adding those things, but they did, and we're thrilled. Like this is great.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And even just, I think it was like a day ago, somebody interviewed one or two of the executives at Apple. I think one of them was like one of the product marketers for the Mac and the iPad. And, they spoke in their own executive language
yeah,
when they were asked about like bringing back some of the stuff. But when you look at it and you kind of boil it down and translate it to human English, it's like, oh hey, we were wrong. So this whole thing, even though Apple didn't say it verbatim, this kind of stuff is Apple, I think, subtly admitting that they were wrong about those
hmm
changes they made with the 2016 to 2020 or
yeah.
2019 pros. Yeah.
Can you also like it takes several years for these types of things to get out. So obviously the last 2 years they already knew that this was probably going to be the next thing. And I
I
think
bet.
about 2 years ago Johnny Ive quit. So it's like what if they were like, hey, we're putting the MagSafe and the SD card slot in, and he's like, you know what? I'm done. I quit.
I've actually, the episode I was recording just earlier today, it's kind of like my heart to heart with Apple, thanking them for reverting their things. One of the things I said was, I don't know what was going through Johnny Ive's head with the last generation, but like, and that's true. I don't really know like how involved he was with that, but I do find it interesting that he's gone and all of a sudden now they got a little thicker. Some old things came back, and
It's
I'm
still
really happy.
but it doesn't look like a monstrosity. It still
Not
looks
at
like a
all.
beautiful piece of art.
Yeah.
It's minimalist. It still has that brushed aluminum. I think it actually looks more unibody for some reason. It looks more kind of streamlined.
It looks, yeah,
It's
I
got
agree.
sharper edges, it seems, but
Yes, it does have like the narrower, like smaller radius corners, and it does look a little more chonk, I
yeah,
guess you could say. But the cool thing is, literally, like you have more, like there's ventilation like all over this thing now,
and
and
it's
it
got the feet, so it kind of
the
floats
bigger
over your
feet.
table. And it's
Yep.
got the what's that MacBook on the bottom of it?
Yeah, I was gonna say I actually really like this part, how big the logo is, like engraved on the bottom. That I think is really,
It's hard to
really slick.
translate on camera, but they've
Yeah, I'm trying to angle it where you can like see it better, but
there you
like,
go.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's nice and big on the bottom.
Now, what are your thoughts? I mean, have you run any type of tests with your video editing software?
Yeah.
We don't want to give away anything. I would actually go ahead and give a plug for Computer Clan. We'll obviously put a link in the show notes and in the description. Go subscribe to Kin's channel if you haven't already. Um, I'm sure you'll be having a video soon. And by the way, before we go on more of a rant about the computer, I want to say I'm proud of you for like not being too stressed out about all this because I don't know what happened you didn't share with me, but if you were going through like normal human family things and you're putting that first, like I commend you for that because I in the past have like caused myself to burn out because I would make YouTube videos when I really shouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely. In this particular case, it was more of a previous business obligation I had, and I was working so hard to make sure that didn't fall on the day the new MacBook Pros arrived because I really wanted to make episodes about it. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. So I had to take a quick break from YouTube to take care of that other stuff. But hopefully, I can get that juggled around soon and make some
Yeah.
more stuff because I used to release an episode every week, but lately I've had to do every other week. And yeah, burnout is a serious thing. It totally is. So I've switched to that every other week schedule to try to keep myself going better. But I'm aiming to reduce the amount of time I work at my day job now so I can actually focus on the YouTube channel more. So that should be coming soonish.
Nice. I want to ask you more about that later, but while we're still
Yeah,
on the
totally.
topic of the MacBook, um, can you kind of run me through a little bit of your experience with, and tell me the exact specs on everything you
Sure.
got there, and then share your ideas on the editing and stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this particular one is the baseline 16-inch Pro, but with the upgraded storage because it comes with 512. I bumped it up to a terabyte. It's
Nice.
got the 16 gigs of unified memory. I figured that would be okay because, again, this is not my daily driver. It's just my mobile machine. And that is with the M1 Pro. So the one advantage there is, yeah, it's not going to be as fast as the M1 Max, but you actually can get potentially longer battery life with the M1 Pro. And
Mm.
Apple said 21-hour battery life and stuff like that. But if you look at the footnotes, it's tested on an M1 Pro machine.
Uh-huh.
So the M1 Max may not get that 21 hours of battery life. So
And
just
also
keep
it's
that in
just
mind.
playing video too, like on a like Netflix or something. So it's not, when you're editing and doing heavy lifting, it's obviously not going to get that battery life. But
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. The 21 hours, yeah, more specifically is video playback on an M1 Pro with the brightness set to 8 notches.
it's
I
very
love reading
specific.
the footnotes.
But
Anyway, but
that being
yeah.
said, it's still going to be the best battery life on a pro laptop in the
Mhm.
world, like
Yeah,
for video editors and photographers.
absolutely. I didn't even charge this up before the show today. And in fact, I don't think I've plugged this in over a day, and it still has 30% juice left. Just
That's
it
amazing.
lasts. It
I
lasts so long.
Tyler Stallman did a video on the M1 Pro and Max, and he had like 7 streams of 8K. He was exporting Lightroom files and opening up Photoshop and After Effects, and then he was screen recording everything. He edited the entire video, and then he
Gosh,
exported it, and he still had 30 minutes, and he never plugged in once for all that.
that,
He's like,
that's crazy.
I use the battery for the shoot, for the recording, for the screen recording, for the editing, and I still have 30% left.
That's insane. The performance per watt, like ever since Steve Jobs talked about it more, when they were transitioning from PowerPC to Intel back in the day, ever since that, I've always been like, huh, that makes sense. It's not just how fast is your computer, it's how fast is it whilst not sucking a bunch of energy and creating a bunch of heat. Because
Yes.
that's the other thing too. I have not heard the fans spin up on this thing at all. And like it hardly gets warm.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so I actually ran one test like right before we recorded just to have it fresh. So it was a 19-minute and 18-second 4K timeline, and I exported it with an H.264 4K preset, and it was all 4K footage. I just put like an adjustment layer, color grade across the whole thing just to make it a little more challenging. I put a title across the whole thing just to make it take a little longer.
Hmm.
On battery, it wasn't plugged into power. It exported in 9 minutes. It hardly felt warm at all, and there was no fan noise, which
Nice.
is insane for a laptop.
Yeah, totally. And what's the codec and what are you in Final Cut or Premiere?
This was in Final Cut.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, once you unfortunately for the Adobe people, you're not going to get the speed that you can get in Final Cut or Resolve right now.
Might not. Yeah, I will give Adobe some credit. Their update they did a couple years ago, or like about a year ago, has made it much better than it was like in the older days on the Mac. But
Yeah,
yeah, I haven't done a recent speed test, but I'm sure Final Cut and Resolve would still be faster.
yeah, unfortunately. But I mean, that's really impressive. I know ProRes in particular is blazing fast. It essentially has like an afterburner card in it. It's similar
Pretty
to.
much. Yeah, I think they called it like the media engine or something like that. And it just like smokes the afterburner, which you can get in the Mac Pro. To make it a little more complicated, I should have mentioned this. The acquisition codec was H.264. So I actually wasn't scrubbing or doing anything with ProRes in the timeline. So it was acquired in H.264 and exported. But yeah, it's obviously scrubbed just fine. Nine
Yeah,
minute export time on battery, no heat, no fan noise. It was freaking awesome.
that's awesome. That's gonna be a huge upgrade for me personally. I've been on the M1 as my main workhorse
Oh,
on a Mac Mini, and
oh, sweet.
as great as it's been, editing in Final Cut, like the timeline is blazing fast. I found that a lot of my actions were faster than even a maxed out 16-inch, which is what I had prior.
Hmm.
Intel, of course.
Right.
And But my export time has been awful. So like it'll take me like an
Mm.
hour to export. I'm doing these like 2 hour long videos for my job now.
Hmm.
Um, and so it literally takes like an hour, 2 hours to export these things. And my previous machine with the beefier GPU, like it probably would have been a lot faster. But so I'm looking forward to having a lot more power. So
Oh yeah, that that's gonna be good. That's the main reason why I had to upgrade from my 8-year-old laptop. I was like, these 4K workflows aren't really keeping up. I do give Apple credit though. If it weren't for Final Cut Pro, I
oh
probably would
yeah.
have had to get rid of that laptop years earlier. But it's just so optimized that it can run on that old hardware just fine.
I know. I think all of this. The caveat is, nobody who's listening needs to feel like FOMO about this. If you're happy and content with what you have, and
Oh
even
yeah.
if even if you have a lesser machine or last year's model, it's Final Cut is so optimized, especially.
Hmm.
I used to do. I think I had a MacBook Air for an entire year. When I was a freelancer, and
Oh man.
it was slow, uh, but I just made it work. I converted everything to proxy, so I would like after a shoot, I would just come in and offload, and then just let it go overnight to do like
Sure.
a 1080 proxy, and then it cut like butter on a MacBook Air. So
Yeah. Totally.
um, very exciting stuff. I ordered the Max because I just
Nice.
wanted to get something that'll last. This will be my primary machine. Do you have plans on getting a desktop replacement? Are you a desktop guy or?
Yeah, I'm absolutely a desktop guy. I actually have the most recent Intel iMac, which will probably be the last one they do for the larger
Yeah,
form factor.
that's true.
So yes, I do have that. It's really good. It's still incredibly fast because it's got like whatever the highest end GPU you can get for it is. It's a 10 core i9. So
Yeah.
yeah, that works well. I'm tempted to see what Apple does with the iMac Pro, whatever they're going to call it, the Apple Silicon version with the 27-inch screen and all that.
Yeah.
Considering I just dropped money on this and on a new Blackmagic camera, I don't know if I'm going to buy it yet, but
Ooh,
maybe the
a
next
new
version.
a new Blackmagic camera. What did you get?
Yes, I got the 6K Pro, which is actually what you're seeing me through right now.
Nice. Do you like it?
Yeah, I freaking love this thing. So I used to use a 6K, which is sitting
Yeah.
back there. And the only reason I got another one was I wanted to start doing some more multicam stuff
Hmm.
because I've been creatively limiting myself with one camera for so long. And it works for a lot of things, but there's some things I want two cameras for. So I
Yeah.
bought this and it has the dual onboard XLR. So it makes
Ooh,
microphone
yeah.
syncing and stuff super
Built-in
easy.
NDs too.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I agree. When I was doing YouTube full time, it was always like one is locked off on sticks, and then one's handheld or a floater, and
Exactly.
it's very valuable to just have a floater because like if you want to go out, although you're kind of in the studio most of the time, but when I
Hmm.
I'd go out on location and shoot. It was a big pain in
Absolutely.
the neck to like get the tripod one out
Yep.
and get the monitor off and the AC power and make sure all the batteries, whatever. So
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. Even just in my shoots today, I was shooting these MacBook Pro episodes. It's nice to leave just the A-roll camera there, exactly where it is right now.
yeah.
Bust out the B-roll camera, do all this cool stuff. Never have to tear it down. It's super
Exactly.
nice.
Yeah, the luxury of a pro YouTuber.
Hey,
So
my wallet isn't happy with me, but
I love your set, by the way. Again, if you're not
thank you.
watching the video, you could go watch any Computer Clan video. You have kind of a historic. You could always justify Apple purchases because you could be like, well, I'll put it in the backdrop.
No joke. I've told that to myself before. It's like, oh, I could get this autographed thing of Steve Wozniak. It's just gonna be. It's a business expense. It's in the
I
background.
would never know that that's what that is, though. I can't see
Oh,
it
I know. Wait, for like some things, it's more like,
for B-roll for you.
yeah, it's just kind of just in there for decoration. But no, it's I wanted to make an engaging background because I get comments just sometimes about a thing that's in the background, and
Oh,
sometimes
brilliant.
sometimes that thing I put in the background is a hint at a future episode. So that's I
Oh,
like to
fun.
play around like that.
So tell me about your kind of situation. I mean, you said that you have a full-time job. I have a
Yeah.
full-time job now.
Mhm.
Uh, what's that like? How do you balance the craziness of YouTube with a full-time gig?
That is an excellent question, and I really have no idea how I did it. So I, I'll be honest. I was having like some real like some like epiphany moments recently where it's like, what do I want to do with my life? So my day job is awesome. I work at a video agency. I work with the best people on the planet, and I've been working there for 6 years while running YouTube. And recently, I was like, well, I need to focus on the day job more. So I'm going to switch from an every week schedule on YouTube to an every other week schedule. And then
Hmm.
a couple months later, I'm like, wait a minute. I want to do the YouTube channel. Why am I doing less of the thing I want to do?
Yeah.
It's still working 40 hours a week at this other job. So I'm working to
Yeah.
get those hours cut down so I can focus on the YouTube
Cool.
channel more and get back to an every week schedule and
You
stuff.
basically want to do the opposite of that.
Exactly. Exactly.
But at least, I mean, it sounds like what is your, if you don't mind sharing, like what is your full-time job, video agency? What is that?
So the company I work for, which I don't want to dive too much into, we don't like outsource the video work. We just have like a specialized like internal team.
Oh, cool.
So anytime there needs to be like a commercial made or even just like internal training videos, we're the ones that do it. And we just kind of
Cool.
like triage, I guess is the word you can use. We all can do everything, but we all specialize in a specific thing: motion graphics, sound, whatever. And yeah, it's a pretty well
Nice.
gelled team. Yeah.
It's nice working with people, It's when you're a YouTuber, solo YouTuber, it can get a little lonely sometimes. So,
And that's the other thing too. Like these are serious things to consider when you want to go full time YouTube. If you're just working by yourself, how does that feel?
yeah.
Like, but and that's one reason why I still did the day job so I could have a bit of a social life. But after doing it for like 6 years, it kind of hit me like, well, I think I can do the solo thing and still not be
Hmm.
lonely. I could make more time to do things with friends now if I'm working
Yeah.
the YouTube thing. So
And
I think,
if you went more full time with YouTube, and obviously, hopefully, the revenue would grow,
mhm.
and which would allow for hiring people. So,
Yeah, that's something I've thought about. It's definitely not on my radar yet, but yeah, it's like like Snazzy Labs. Quinn has his dedicated editor guy, and I can
yeah,
see, yeah, that would be very
yeah.
useful. I've contracted people before, like for the podcast. I've contracted my buddy Sage to do all that editing.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, if the computer clan ever got much, much bigger, yeah, we would need other full-time employees.
Are you able to go full time now? Like, if you really wanted to just flip the switch, and as far as revenue for Computer Clan, you think, or
It it would it would be a little complicated at first, but I think I could make it work because I was actually making way more during like a couple days before I started the whole. My brain's all over the place.
other
Sorry, it's late.
every week thing?
Yes, but back when I was doing every week, I was actually making more revenue on
Sure,
YouTube and Patreon and stuff than I was at my day job. So I absolutely think it could be done. But lately, it's dipped. Probably not just because of the every other week thing, but probably also just because sometimes I can't, I guess, always do the types of videos I need to do that resonate with my audience more.
sure. And I
But
found
yeah, I yeah,
when I was just like head down, just focused on YouTube, like you start to optimize better, and you'll like really be
exactly.
just so focused that you'll be able to know exactly what kind of videos will perform well.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Continue to work with more brands, bringing in the sponsorship money. Do you have an agent, or do you do all that yourself?
And see, that's the other thing too. I'm glad you brought that up. I used to have an agent. Like I didn't like totally cut ties with her. It's just I was so busy with my day job, I had to stop doing the sponsorship stuff. But
Mm,
now that I, get less time at the day job, more time on YouTube, I can now go back to doing things like that where I can do
yeah,
sponsorships because that stuff
that's where the real
pays
money
really
is,
well.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. That pays really well, and that can help the computer clan just grow exponentially. And then, like you said earlier, I can now have more time to optimize because
Yeah.
I see some people do episodes that just like really take off, and I'm like, wait a minute, I did an episode about the same topic. Why is theirs doing so much better? It's because
Yeah.
they've nurtured their audience
Mm.
to understand, oh, hey, they're going to release this thing that I'm expecting. I'm going to watch it. And Renee Ritchie's a good reminder too. Like he says things like, don't think of the algorithm. He's like, just think of your audience, just provide value to your
Yes.
audience. Don't think of it as a robot.
Totally. Optimized for humans, not an algorithm,
There you
for
go.
sure. Did you get the YouTube Formula book by Daryl Eves? Did you buy that, or do you know about it?
I did not buy that. No. That sounds cool because I was actually getting some serious FOMO from Vid Summit. I, I didn't go this year.
Just buy this book, and you don't need to go to Vid Summit. It's
All
called
right.
The YouTube Formula. Daryl
Sweet.
Eves. This is the second time I promoted it. I promoted it last week, in my
Mhm.
previous interview. This entire book is like my buddy. Do you know Jevin Dovey? He's
No.
a filmmaker
No.
guy. He reviews like drones and gimbals and cameras and stuff. Uh, but he's a good friend of mine, and he
Hmm.
actually spent, I think it's like $5,000 for the Daryl Eves like upstart your channel like thing.
Whoa.
Um, and then he also bought this book, and he's like, "Yeah, the book has everything I learned in my $5,000 course." So yeah. So if you want the real
Oh,
deal,
good.
pick it up. I'll send you an affiliate link.
Oh, totally.
I'm
Yeah.
just
Hey,
joking.
I'm all for that. I know how that world works.
I'm
Hey,
just
take my
joking.
link.
I'll send you a link. No, dude, like I just wanna pump you up and say your content is like top notch. You're hilarious. The last couple of videos I've noticed too, like you're really doing a good job of holding me to the very end. Like I never feel like I want to drop off because it's just like
Hmm.
content one after another, humor, humor,
Thank you.
humor, and then the way that you're structuring the videos too, like I have to stay to the end, which is
I
great.
Yep. I'm totally glad you mentioned that because I've done like some mini crash courses on this kind of stuff. Like on my Patreon, I really give like a behind the scenes look of like how I write my videos. And yeah, they're specifically manufactured that way. And I feel like that is one thing I've done really well on YouTube is the
Hmm.
whole retention thing. Cause like my latest scam buster was peaking out at like a 73.6% retention, which is
Dude,
like
that's
unheard of.
nuts. That's nuts. That's Mr. Beast level. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's like really flat too, which for those who don't know, like that if the flatter it is, that means the less people are stopping the video and leaving. So like
Exactly.
that means people are being held until the end. So I think I've gotten pretty good at that. It's just discoverability. Like that's my biggest challenge. I need to keep optimizing for that.
Totally, totally, man. I mean, don't like stress out about it because it's a long game. I mean, you've been in the game for
Right.
a long time now, and sure, you have these people who can maybe blow up, quickly or whatever. but you
Hmm.
have you have such a knowledge of YouTube, and it's clearly something you're passionate about. In theory, this could be the rest of your life. I mean, this is a lifelong career, so
I
there's
would absolutely love it to be.
there's no real
Yeah.
like rush to get to any type of metric or
Yeah.
whatever. It's all just your own personal journey, and um, if you're able to make a living at all doing something like this, I mean that's such a
Hmm.
blessing in of itself.
It absolutely is, and I do have to remind myself of that when times get tough. It's like when I talk with the 8-bit guy. He's older than me. It's like he was like, I don't want to say his age, but he was like X amount of years older than me when he went full time on YouTube. And it's like, huh, well, okay, maybe I'm really not in a rush to get this to happen. I mean, I want to make it happen now, but it's like, yeah, it's different for everybody. You can't really compare yourself to other people. Like the time will come. You got to be patient sometimes, and really, yeah, just don't be competitive with other people. You don't have to be better than them. You have to compete with yourself yesterday. You have to be better than
Exactly.
your yesterday self. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
at least for me personally too, it's all been just I've wanted to just have good relationships with other YouTubers because they're
Mm.
the only people that I really feel like I can truly connect with. Because in social settings in real life, like it's hard to like talk about algorithm, and you have to base. If
Oh yeah.
anybody asks, what do you do? It's like, oh well, I make YouTube videos or whatever, and oh, tell me about that, and just I have to educate people on it or whatever, or I just ignore I just say I do video stuff, but
Dude, yep. I'm the same. That's another reason I want to go to Vid Summit is to like network with more people. But I'm the same way. Like in a social setting, like if it's just like if I'm reading the room and it's like, okay, I don't really want to go down the YouTube rabbit hole. I'll just be like, oh, I'm a video producer. But like,
yeah.
if I can tell it'll be acceptable to go down the rabbit hole, I will say, yeah, I'm a content creator on YouTube, and then that'll usually be the conversation for the next half
Totally.
hour. So.
I remember I was in a church group out here. We just started going to a new church, and we went to a new
Mhm.
group. And one of the people in the group, like his son, is like a Twitch streamer, and
Mm.
he's actually been growing, and he's been rather successful. And the dad in the group was like, yeah, I don't know, like he still needs to go to college. He's a senior in high school, and like I want him to have something that he can fall back on, and blah blah blah. And I was
Sure.
like, well, yes, okay, that's responsible, but let me just tell you, like, I was a full time YouTuber. I know many of them. It's a very credible and legitimate thing now. Like maybe
Hmm.
5, 6 years ago, that wasn't the case. But just so you know, for your own education, if he's like doing well on Twitch as a 16-year-old, like he's literally getting opportunities, he's
Holy
getting
crap.
paid to do competitions. I'm like, this
Gee.
this is a big deal. Like the fact that your son is doing that now is like not normal. So you should just like encourage him to go for it because I can tell you this: if he's a successful Twitch guy, like there's a lot of money to be made there for sure. So I just think a lot of like normal people just don't get how viable of a career path it is. It's just a lot
Yeah,
of hard work. But
absolutely. And I'm the same way. I told myself I still do want to go to college just to have like a bit of a safety net. So like, I only went to like a 2-year school, pretty simple.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, everything else, like the stuff I learned in school it was okay, but like most of the stuff I learned was going to be out in the field anyway. I'm
exactly.
not I'm not a Twitch streamer. I became a YouTube guy, but like my portfolio was like YouTube videos, my resume is all YouTube videos. It's like all the stuff I learned was like through a YouTube project. It's like, yeah, it's a viable thing. It makes money. You can meet people and learn
A
I don't know if
ton.
I can swear a lot.
Yeah, it's a family show.
Yes,
this
there
is
we go.
this show's brought to you by Polar Pro. So we are a sponsored by or it's brought. This is a Polar Pro show, so we represent them. So I don't know if you knew
Sweet.
that.
I did not.
Do you
I
know?
just learned something today too.
Yeah, Polar Pro is in Costa Mesa. I used to go to their studio and record this, but now I live in Nashville. But um, out in California, they're based out there, and they make all the
Mhm.
amazing filters, variable neutral density filters, the Peter McKinnon one, and all sorts of different things. So check it out, polarpro.com. There's the plug. So like, if you had a magic wand, Ken, if you had a magic wand, money was no object, what would you want to like be doing right now with the channel, with your career? What if
Oh
just
yeah.
magic wand moment?
magic wand, it would be like YouTube full time, and with like a maybe a little bit of a bigger studio, so I could have like some full time employees, and we crank stuff out. Like the thing I would really like to have is like a dedicated research team, or even just a dedicated research person
Yes.
to help me do stuff, because a lot of the pre-production for anything I want to do is all research based, and it would be really, really nice to have someone just to help with that. And it's happened sometimes, just if I have like a buddy over, like he'll help me figure something out. Like my buddy Brent, he's a really good tinkerer, so he can figure things out. And then I can be like, oh, hey, let's do an episode about that.
Yeah.
If it was me trying to figure it out, it would take forever. So yeah, having like a small staff and like a nice studio size, that'd be great. And we'd keep pumping out cool computer clan stuff.
Who are the kind of channels or people that you look up to? I mean, Linus, Snazzy Labs, Marquez, that kind of stuff.
Snazzy was one of the earlier ones. When I was watching, it was his Molar Mac video. He did a video about that old G3 all-in-one, like before the iMac, I think, started even shipping. Like I saw that and I was like, oh, I like this whole like production value about Apple history and stuff, because like that's one of the legs to the Computer Clan stool is retro tech, and
Mm-hmm.
seeing his channel kind of reinvigorated that. So that was one of them. Captain Disillusion. I don't know if you've ever
Oh
seen
my gosh, yes.
Yes.
The fact that you brought those two people up, it's almost as if you are Captain Disillusion and Quinn put together. Like,
Dude, I totally agree. People have literally in my comment section say I look like a wider Snazzy Labs. Like people have said that. But yes, Captain Disillusion, huge inspiration.
He's amazing.
The whole scam busting stuff. Like I probably subconsciously borrowed some of his debunking tactics when I do that.
Sure. Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that. I can see the inspiration there.
yeah, absolutely. Plus, just from the video geek in me, watching him, break down visual effects and how people use them to, make fake viral videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, just I geek out about that stuff, and I feel so good when he busts them. And it's like, yeah, we figured this out. This is how this was faked. And I was like, yeah, I like this. I like this guy.
That's amazing. Cool. Yeah, I'm coming up on almost a year of not making any YouTube stuff. It's been weird.
Oh wow.
I quit Indie Mogul back in February, or January technically. So, um, I'm over here in Nashville, just kind of chilling. It's been a
Mm-hmm.
good time for me to kind of reset, recalibrate, figure out what I want to do next, and so I'm excited. I've finally, with the help of this book and a lot of research, I'm excited to get into retro gaming. That's
Ooh.
my next frontier. I'm getting out of the camera review space. I feel like it's the camera review. I don't know if you consume camera reviews very much, but I feel like we've kind of arrived at a point now where the cameras are so good, it's like not interesting anymore.
I mean, to me personally, like those reviewers can absolutely do whatever they want. It works for
Yep,
them. But yeah,
100%.
I do not consume them anymore. Nope.
There was so much nuance. Like just when I started 3 years ago, every camera had like this one had a flip screen, this one didn't. This one had a mic jack, this one didn't. This one shoots 4K, this one only shoots 1080. The autofocus is
Mm,
good, the autofocus sucks. Like there was a lot of variety and nuance, and it was all kind of like we're all just waiting for a camera with a flip screen with a mic jack, good autofocus, 4K, stabilized sensor, full frame, and that's it. And it's like now we've got the R5, the A7S3, the A7
mm,
IV. We've got and then obviously the Blackmagic cameras are in their own category as well, in terms of like low budget, high quality like cinema
yeah,
cameras.
agreed.
Um, and then even with cinema cameras, we got the C70, the FX3, the FX6, like all these great options. It's kind of, and even Red has now become obtainable with the Komodo. Like you can, if you really wanted to, you could buy a Komodo as well for a decent price. So, it's pretty crazy, but it's exciting in its own way. I mean, mobile photography is getting better and better. The fact that this is a 12, I didn't feel a need to upgrade to the 13.
No, I got the 12 Pro as well. Mm.
Yay. I don't know. I did feel like I want to try the ProRes on the 13, but it's I would never use it really.
And I would probably never use it too, because how do you get it off of there?
That's what
Like,
I'm like. That's a good point. Like I shouldn't give Apple my money until they give me a real pro solution to get it off. It needs
yeah,
to have a
because
USB-C on it.
yeah, because like, and we know that's not going to happen. They're going to
I
just
know.
totally kill the port before they go to USB-C. But like that's the problem. You shoot this high bitrate ProRes. I don't know what the bitrate of it is on the iPhone, but like
I think it's
transferring it would take.
I think it's
Yeah.
700 megabits per second.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
absurd.
You couldn't transfer that over USB 2 practically. That would just take forever.
A lot of people don't realize it, but yeah, like as USB 3 and USB C became more of a standard, Lightning never upgraded. It just stayed USB 2 speed.
Yeah.
I actually thought that it was USB 3, but I guess it's not.
Yeah. I don't think it is unless there's something I'm missing, but I'm pretty sure it's still
USB 2
2.
speeds. That's awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, if you could change one thing about YouTube, being a YouTuber, having all the experience you've had over the last several years, what would be that one? Like, if you could kind of have one feature or one request, if you had the CEO of YouTube on the phone and you said, "I need this," or "Could you please change this?" What would that be for you?
I would kind of like a way to signal boost past uploads. Like I know there's like ways to do it organically, like with like changing the title and changing the thumbnail, and sometimes it'll get recrawled by the algorithm and stuff like that. But I kind of hope there was like a way to like maybe get it like boosted back, like it was a new upload, like get it reboosted back to the top, even if that was a
Yeah.
paid feature. And speaking of paid features, I would like just like some sort of paid version of YouTube where you get some sort of like pro features, like maybe a dedicated concierge or like some other Vimeo features, like, oh, I noticed a mistake in my video. Oh, I can just swap it out. Like you can't do that with
Yes.
YouTube. So it'd be cool to have like some dedicated things like that, maybe faster encode times, like you get pushed to the beginning of the processing queue or, just like a
That would be
pro tier
awesome.
that gives, yeah, like a pro tier that just gives you some nice benefits like that would be pretty cool,
I've
I think.
I've kind of said like I feel like at a certain point, if you have like 100,000 subs or more, you should just have premium by default. Like why am I paying for premium? You
That
know?
that would be nice. Yeah, yeah. Like and I feel like I don't know if this is a real technical thing that happens, but I see people on Twitter who have newer YouTube channels that do complain about the long processing times. And my processing time usually isn't that bad. And part of my imagination thinks, oh, I'm an OG YouTube channel, so they put me at the front of the line, even though I don't think they do that. But like I've noticed my processing time is okay. But yeah, back to premium. Yeah, I pay for it because I like it a lot, but it would
I
be cool if
know.
we got it for free. Yeah. I'll
I
take it out of my revenue paycheck,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Just
exactly. Just take it out of the ad rev. I would never notice, right?
right. I would never notice. Oh man.
Okay, yeah, that's a good feature. Have you experimented with like repurposing old videos? Because I'm sure you have some bangers that would perform better now with a newer audience that have never even seen them. For instance, what I did is I I had one that basically it's a good standalone video that had nothing to
Mm-hmm.
do with any type of relevant time period. It was just kind of a silly like how to use a GoPro video. And so
Mm-hmm.
I just introed it with my new set and my new setup and was like, "Hey, here's a video I made. It's really funny. I shot it a couple years ago, but here you go." You know, and then it ended up getting like 4 times as many views as it did back then because it was older.
So yeah, so the funny thing is, at the day job I work at, that is sometimes something we do. I'm too picky about myself, or if it's like I want to revisit a topic, I'll just shoot an all new video, which I've done, and it's absolutely works.
Ah,
Like
yeah. It's
it,
a new
it's
video, same topic, basically.
exactly, and it's like higher production value, and it usually gets a lot of views. And
Smart.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes if I just want to boost an old video, I'll freshen up the thumbnail, change the title, blast it out on Twitter, and sometimes it goes up a bit, but yeah, I don't do that a lot intentionally, but sometimes I just get lucky. Because like years ago, I made a little Mac tips and tricks video about how to display your iPad on your Mac screen. And this was like way before there were like any built-in features to do this. It was with
Uh-huh.
Air Server.
Oh my
So you could
gosh.
so you could mirror your iPad on your Mac. And this was 2012. And the video got a lot of views and then it kind of like tapered off or whatever. But then when everyone started working from home, apparently crap tons of people wanted to know how to show their iPad on their like computer screen. The
Oh
the
yeah.
view traffic went like crazy up all of a sudden.
Oh wow.
And it was like a 9-year-old video. So
That's like my
so
buddy has a 6-year-old video filming his father-in-law deep frying a turkey, and it's titled "How to Deep Fry a Turkey." It always gets 20,000 views every November.
like yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And it's a
I always,
filmmaking channel. It has nothing to do with turkeys. It's just the algorithm knows. Like,
and like sometimes the algorithm gets wind of those things. Like even
yeah,
like Marquez will joke about it and be like,
yeah,
hey, this is trending from like 10 years ago. He looks totally different. His hair is different. It's just
yeah.
like,
It's like
wait a minute.
my first video. Yeah, it's so random. The I Justine was the most recent one that got
Yep. Yep.
roped into that. It was her on a webcam at a Mac
Yeah.
store, Apple store.
I finally got an iPhone.
I finally got an iPhone, and it's like a minute or something. I think everybody got it for some reason.
I saw it pop up too. Yep.
And you clicked on it, right?
I I don't think I did
Okay.
actually.
I was like, I might as well click on it.
I did click on the MKBHD one. It was like channel update 8.0.
You know, it's interesting how the algorithm works. It makes sense though, because like Justine and Marquez are, they're so well established now. It is kind
Yep.
of like if you're a fan of them, seeing them 10 years ago is kind of silly and funny, and like, of course, I am
Yep.
interested in seeing this, because it's
Hmm.
you don't you rarely go all the way back, but if the algorithm just serves it to you, it's like, might as well watch this.
I remember like this is a lesson I've had to like remind myself. Like I'm picky about my old videos, but it's like I see myself watching other channels' old videos. It's fine. So the
Yeah.
viewers, for me, that it doesn't matter to them. They want it. But I remember this one funny moment when I was watching Captain Disillusion. I just had his like videos on autoplay and I was watching them. And then this next one starts playing and everything about it feels normal because he has a really like good structure and a formula and everything. But I'm like, wait a minute, why is it so fuzzy? Why won't it load the HD option? And I go to click the menu, there is no HD option. I go to check the date, and it's from like 2010, and I'm like, holy crap, his video is like so good and consistent. I thought this was new, but
Oh
it's like,
wow, yeah, that's what you want, man.
yeah, it's an old 2010 video, and it's like this is still just as good, man.
Well,
I have not mastered that, but
well,
he got
I
it.
was gonna say I think you have though, and especially with
Oh,
these recent the scam busting type videos, those do have that kind of structure, and they're so bingeable.
yes.
And they're not time sensitive. Um,
True. And you're right. I will agree with that 100%. I guess what I meant was I haven't mastered it as long as he has because if
sure,
he could
sure,
make it
sure.
work 10 years ago, but yes, yeah,
But
absolutely appreciate
I would assume that may be sort of your strategy with those types of videos.
it. Yep.
Am I on it with that?
Yep, totally.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Because that's kind of the problem with being a tech reviewer or in the tech scene is you may get a good boost in traffic when the product's new, people are searching for it, everybody's talking about it, you want to be part of the conversation, but a year goes by, you might get some decent views, 2 years go by, and now it's not relevant. It's
Right. And that's why like there's three legs to the computer clan. It's the scam tech, it's the retro tech, and it's the new tech. And occasionally, like I will do the new tech stuff to try to suck in those newer viewers that were maybe just searching a keyword and they found my channel. But my idea is to funnel them to the other
mm,
videos like the retro stuff and the scam stuff, which is a little more timeless and preserved in history, I guess you could say, and
yeah,
get them to stick around and then watch more of that stuff.
totally. And I think that's a better strategy overall because it's based more on people who are just genuine tech enthusiasts.
Mm-hmm.
They get attracted to your personality,
Right.
and they're just there to see your stuff. It's not about
Yeah.
basically you want somebody to just be suggested your video and then they just click on it and watch it without even
Right.
thinking about it.
Right. And, I still have to be careful with what I do a new tech episode about because, like, last year I experimented with just like kind of a bunch of things. Like, I even tried some like Microsoft stuff. Like, when they did the Surface Duo, I
Hmm.
tried doing an episode about that and like hardly anybody watched it. And like, I tried doing stuff with the iPhone and like hardly anybody watched it. And then I did the Pixel 4a and it got like 150,000 views. I'm like, oh, okay. That one performed well. So I could do more of that. But then I was like, well, I'm not really a phone channel. I'm not too into phones, so I'm probably not going to do. I learn a lot about what works and what doesn't work with the
Yeah.
audience and what I'd like to do and what not like to do. And yeah, you got to do videos about stuff you like to do because otherwise it gets kind of
Oh yeah.
feels too much like a job.
Dude, tell me about it. Yeah, when I was at
Yeah.
Indie Mogul, there was a couple of videos where it was just like, a camera company sent us a camera that I could care less about, and it was just like, just go out and make a video, just make a stupid video and just be done with it. And it's like, okay,
Uh,
this is a job
yeah.
now.
Exactly. Yep.
When I was doing camera reviews, it was literally like every new camera that came out, I would just buy it and review it. And so, no matter if it was from Fuji, Panasonic, Nikon, whatever, I would just do it. And a lot of times I didn't care. So, I had to kind of make it as entertaining as possible for
Sure.
me to stay sane with it. But, um, anyways,
Totally get it.
but yeah, at the end of the day, if you're starting a YouTube channel or anything content creation wise, whether it's Instagram or whatever, like make it about something you're passionate about because you're going to be spending a lot of time doing it, and and you have the luxury of choosing what you're doing. So it's like might as well choose exactly what you want.
Hmm.
And it can take a long time. It's taken me 9 months to figure out what I want to do next. It's a lot
Sure.
of back and forth. But I heard a great quote from Eric. Do you know who he
Oh
is?
yeah.
Big YouTuber.
Hmm.
He was on Colin and Samir. Uh, I'm gonna play it because it's just like a 40-second clip. It's like a YouTube short. Where
Hmm.
is it? I just saw it. I guess. Oh my gosh, the algorithm is crazy. I guess it's an old video and it suggested it to me a while, and I clicked on it because, well, I can't remember what he said exactly, but he basically was like, the amazing thing about YouTube is that the ceiling for like success or what you want to do is all based on you and how hard you're willing to work. Like there's nobody stopping you from growing or getting as many followers or views or money as you like. It's literally just
Hmm.
how hard are you willing to work, and um, that's kind of it. Like
Exactly.
there's no barrier, there's no like gatekeepers necessarily. Um,
Exactly.
and that's really like democratizing media, which has never been done before, and it's really exciting. That's how we have some guy in North Carolina who's become the biggest YouTuber on the planet.
Yep. Yep.
Jimmy Mr. Beast. He's just a
Yep.
guy from
Dude, that
Greenville.
guy. Gosh, he just cracked the code on everything, man. He's a genius. Like, and
Totally,
it's funny because like I went back and watched some of his older videos that like still hardly have any views, and it's like, oh wow, I can kind of piece this stuff together. He's like really setting himself up for success here. Like he's
totally,
like setting it kind of looked like connecting the dots backwards. It's like, yeah, he's gonna like launch something really big, even though I'm sure he wasn't sure when it was gonna happen back then. But yeah, he's cracked the code and everything.
yeah. And I mean, as I'm sitting here, an old 31-year-old married with two kids, it's like I do look at him and like he is young. He has the kind of freedom to do that. I'm not trying to. Uh, I'm just in a different stage of life where like I don't care that much anymore. When I was 21, I was very driven and motivated and just worked all the time. But now it's like
Mhm.
I literally don't care. Like I just want to be home with my kids. At the end of the day. So um,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was a similar thing that happened to me, like trying to find balance with this day job. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing YouTube all this time. And I think that's what it was. I was just more driven at the time to do YouTube full time
yeah.
while doing a full time job. And it's like, whoa. But then I had to like choose to bring one down. And now it's like, wait, I'm bringing the YouTube thing down? No, it's not going to work. That needs to go back up. This other one needs to go down.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then
But
eventually
yeah.
you can. Will you eventually quit? You think on that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's the goal. And like you said, it's about like how much you're willing to work. And I've realized that recently. A reason I probably haven't done it sooner was because I was just kind of afraid that I couldn't make it work. But it's like, wait a minute, I can make it work. I just
Totally,
have
man.
to keep working on it. Like, and recently I have found myself getting very excited about problem solving. Like if
Yeah.
something's not performing or something like that, I get excited to be like, okay, well, hey, let's make this next video better now. And as long as I'm always excited about problem solving, channel's gonna be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're in a really great spot. The channel is healthy, and all you gotta do
Mm-hmm.
is just throw some wood on the fire, and it'll continue to grow. And
Absolutely.
again, everybody who's listening to the show, go subscribe to Computer Clan. Ken, thank you for being on the Golden Hour podcast. It was a real
My
pleasure to meet
pleasure.
you and to have you on.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait
Yeah,
to
it was
get
a lot of
my
fun.
MacBook. I'm not getting it till November 17th, so I'm
Yeah.
jealous. Is that space gray or silver? I can't really tell actually.
This is silver. I jumped on
I
kind
got
of like the.
I got silver as well, actually.
Oh, sweet. I think, okay, so here's what happened. I think Space Gray got too mainstream for me. So I bought silver. I brought it into the day job office and people were looking at it and they're like, is that a different like color of aluminum? And I'm like, yes, it is. Silver.
No, I think silver is making a comeback, man. I mean, the
I
Mac
think
Pro
so.
is silver, and
Exactly.
and that's a pro machine. And honestly, for thumbnails, silver pops better than space gray. So
I think so. Yeah, it's just brighter looking.
yeah, space gray looks like a dull silver. It's like, why would I want something dull? You always want something bright and crazy, you know, for
I like it.
YouTube thumbnails. All right, Ken, thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. See you soon.
See ya.